David Tennant AI reads fan fiction, The Adventures of Mercy Song by nightsisterkaris. Chapter 2, Trickling Time. Spinning around the controls of the TARDIS, the Doctor grinned. Off to a new place? You know, Doctor, Rory and I would really like to go home for a bit. Amy sighed, patting Rory's back while he retched. The laser-eyed frog swamp was a little much, and we'd both like a shower. Amy tried to untangle her hair, face contorting as she pulled at the strands. Right. The Doctor's grin fell. Of course. Anyway, next stop, home for you two. Thank you, Rory coughed, pinching muddy algae off his shirt. The TARDIS scraped into existence, materializing with a final bong and opening the doors to show the pond's home. See you soon, we presume? Amy smiled, waving goodbye. I'll try, the Doctor agreed. Go visit my daughter sometime. I'd like to know how she's doing, Amy asked. Well, since she's a professor now, teaching all her days, the Doctor smiled with a dramatic pause. But her nights, those are between her and I. Hey, that's my daughter you're talking about, Rory said. Don't you forget that I still have my sword. Oi, he's her husband, Amy laughed. Don't be getting your knickers in a twist. He's allowed to think that way. It's my job to come at her every call, even if it is a butt dial. The Doctor mock bowed and laughed. Pardon the pun. I did not need to know River sends you booty calls, Rory groaned. Amy bit her lip, giving Rory a side glance and elbowed her husband. Wrong pun. What? Huh? Oh. Rory grimaced. He gave the Doctor a suspicious glance at the lewd innuendo. We have to go now, Doctor, and we had a lovely time. Amy smiled, hugging the Time Lord goodbye and taking her husband's hand as they exited the TARDIS. Outside was a bright spring day, crisp wind blowing into the TARDIS interior, and the Doctor took a deep breath. There was so much in that air. Fresh mud and fresh plants pushing up through the soil, and kids finally getting to go outside without bundling up first. Amy and Rory crossed the street to their little house and turned around to wave one more time. See you soon, Pons. The Doctor waved them off, half-heartedly sulking his way back to the controls. Sighing, he pulled off his coat, setting his sonic screwdriver and his psychic paper on the console. The Doctor undid his bow tie, leaving the fabric hanging around his neck. He flicked a glob of mud off his knee. What's next for us, old girl? He asked the TARDIS. Seemingly in response, the TARDIS powered up, the screen flashing 2 words. Freshen up. What has gotten into you, sexy? The Doctor said, frowning at the words, worried when the TARDIS took off on her own. Well, aren't you feisty today? The same message blinked on the screen. Fine, fine, I trust you. With that, the TARDIS took flight, dematerializing as the Doctor went off to his own quarters and took a shower, changing into another set of black trousers, an earth and sky blue dress shirt, matching red bow tie and suspenders, and throwing on another tweed jacket. He parted his hair in the reflection of the polished metal walls and came back to the console room. What have you got for me this time, sexy? He asked the TARDIS, taking and slipping his sonic and paper into his pockets. He checked their location and was rewarded with a surprise. Lunar University? The Doctor grinned and rubbed his hands. My dear Reva! The TARDIS whistled in response, doors squeaking open. The Doctor almost ran out, finding himself in the apartment he'd finally learned how to properly kiss his wife all those years ago. Long story. Her bedroom wasn't far. He glanced over to locate the open door to the right, looked to the ground, folded his arms, and leaned against the walls. Looking inside, he saw his wife. Her goddess-like golden curls were amassed in a messy bun that was tied up by an olive-green strip of cloth knotted like a bandana around her head. She wore a dark blue Empire neckline tunic tied high under her breasts that reminded him of a dress from the 1810 ES. She sat cross-legged with her back to the wall of her bed, working on something in her lap, and papers to grade littered the bed. A few balls of yarn were tucked beside her, and the needles clicked monotonously as she worked. He was surprised, to say the least. It was strange to see the bold woman who could make Daleks cry for mercy do something as domestic as knit a blanket or shawl or whatever it was. I knew I heard the TARDIS. River didn't look up from her work. Hello, sweetie. Is that knitting? The Doctor asked. No, hello, how are you? Well, I need something to do with my hands when you're not here, she replied, tying off her project. She picked up her work, showing him what appeared to be half of a knit TARDIS blue blanket. It was maybe a yard long and was obviously still in dire need of progress, considering the amount of loose ends that were hanging from the edges. "Looks a bit small for you," the doctor observed. "Maybe." River sighed, setting it back in her lap. "No kisses for me?" The doctor pouted. "You're usually smothering my mouth and sticking your hands where they don't belong by now." "Don't belong? Oh, you enjoy it, love." River smirked, but she made no attempt to move or even tease him. "So—" "Can't. I have the Venusian flu," River quickly said. "Don't want to get you sick." "River, Time Lords are immune to that. You're part Time Lord." The doctor frowned, looking at his wife. He came into the room, socks padding across the carpet, and he sat down next to her on the bed he knew well. River stiffened at his presence, shoulders tensing. "Anyway, you look really healthy to me," the doctor added. "Doctor? In fact, the air around you is crackling with regeneration energy, but I thought—" "It's just my meditation," River said suddenly. He frowned. Meditation certainly didn't sound like something she'd enjoy, and he had no idea how that could lead to such high levels of energy brimming in her. She was lying, plain as day. "This is strange. You'd be visibly glowing if the lights weren't so bright. I can almost smell it." The doctor must. "But it's strange. I've never seen this before. River, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Here, what if I just—" The doctor worried, pulling out his sonic screwdriver and scanning her with a couple swift sweeps. He flicked his wrist, the sonic loading the results. "Doctor!" River's voice was urgent. Her hand clamped over the sonic to hide whatever it said from him. "What, sweetie? Don't! Please! Just hand me the sonic!" "But Riva—" "Trust me, Doctor, just this once, please. Hand me the sonic. Now!" River begged. "Don't look!" The doctor closed his eyes. "I trust you, Riva." The doctor sighed and didn't look when his tool beeped with results. He handed it to her, sadness in his eyes. What was she really hiding? What could be so serious that she'd hide it from him? Her husband? He thought they were past all that spoiler mess. This was the most linear they had ever been for a while now, and now she'd decided that there was one more thing he had to wait on. With the rate she was going, he wouldn't learn anything new until he was meeting such a young version of her that there would be nothing to learn about her in the first place. "Thank you," River said, and the sonic made a small beeping sound as she deleted the results. "Is this another super-secret spoiler or something?" the doctor asked. River stared him dead in the eye. "Yes, spoilers. This is a huge spoiler." "Well then," the doctor forced a smile. He reached over and retrieved his sonic. "Since you're clearly not sick, and I'm assuming you're not seriously injured, I can do this, right?" The doctor's hand darted out and cupped her jaw, bringing her in for a sweet kiss. "I love you, Riva." "Love you too." River's eyes were still closed from the kiss when he pulled away, looking over the features of her soft face. The doctor pecked her one more time. "And let me know when you need me." "I will. Even if it's just takeout from that restaurant on Untipari," the doctor added. "Or jelly babies, or fish fingers and custard, maybe a fez." "Why would I ever need a fez?" River raised an eyebrow. "Are you high or something?" "Just on you!" He tried to flirt, failing miserably. He was so lucky she found it endearing, rolling her eyes at him. "Flirt!" She called him pointedly. "I'll see you soon, love." River was making it clear he had to leave. The doctor kissed her forehead and got up to go as she wanted. He stopped, turning around once more. "And River, this is for you." The doctor reached into his pocket, pulling out a perfume bottle. He tossed it to her. "Psychic paper told me you needed more perception filter." River's eyes widened as she caught the bottle, and the doctor spun on his heel, heading back to the TARDIS. "Well, that was a rubbish visit, sexy," he grumbled as he left.